I'm Monique Jacobs with Open Gate Quilts, and today we're going to do our second of our quilt quick turn with Bear Creek Quilting Company, and I'm going to show you how to put the blocks together. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that I do when I'm making a quilt is I make sure that I have all the pieces I need to make a block. So we're going to start with block A, and if you look, I've laid everything out that I need, and your instructions tell you exactly what you need, and it's all written down here for block A. So we're going to be starting with block A, and basically what I do is I have them laid out here. So this is what we're going to need. So once I have everything ready for me, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to put it together. For step one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew a 2.5-inch square of my dark green and a 2.5-inch square of my background, and I'm going to sew those together. Once I have those sewn, I'm going to sew this to my 2.5 by 4.5 rectangle of my dark green, and this is what I get. Once I have this sewn, I'm going to do the same thing with my light purple. Same idea. And the thing that I need to do next is I need to draw a diagonal line from corner to corner on the backs of these two pieces. And when I do that, I'm going to make sure that I go through this line, and I do this. And there's two ways you can do your line. You can do it this way or you can do it this way. You want it this way so that it does not cross your background square. Once I have my lines drawn, I'm going to take my 6.5-inch square of background and I'm going to line up so that my background square is on the inside of my 6.5-inch square, and I'm going to sew on that line. So I'm going to make sure there's two ways you can put it. You can put it like this and like this. You want to make sure you put it like this, so what happens is when you sew it, you get this to happen. And it's important that you do it this way, because if you do it this way, that's what you're going to get. But we need that square out here in the corner. So you're going to do that for both sides. And let me grab one that's already done. Here's one that's already done. So I have my squares in the corners and my triangles out from the outside here. One of the things that you need to remember to do next is once you have this sewn on, you're going to trim this down to a 1/4-inch seam allowance. So I'm going to trim that. And you can discard this piece, but you want to keep this piece. This is really important that you put that aside and keep that for later. So I'm going to have one that looks like this with my dark green and my light purple. I'm going to have one that looks like this with my dark purple and my light green. I'm going to have one that looks like this with my medium purple. And with my medium purple, what I will do is I will take a 2.5-inch square of your medium purple, draw a diagonal line on that, sew it, and press it out. Another thing to keep in mind is my pressing. I have pressing going this way and this way, so you want to make sure that I follow the directions and do it exactly as it is, so the pressing is correct, because it will make a difference when you get all your blocks together. Then I'm also going to do a medium green one. So those are my first 4 pieces, and I will set those aside and work on my next piece. The next piece I'm going to do, I'm following in my direction so you can follow along, is remember that piece that I had left over. I should have, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8 of them. And what you want to do with all 8 is you need to trim these down. And how you trim them down, it's very simple. You're going to go from this point out at 2 7/8. So I'm going to take my ruler here and I'm going to line it up along my straight edge. I just use this number 10, but I'm going to also line the 2 7/8 up along here and trim. So now I have a triangle, and I don't know if you remember, but we had 2 7/8" squares that I used to when I cut out all my fabric. So this is going to be used for that. Okay, so now that I have all these cut, I am going to take these and the 2 7/8" squares that I cut diagonally once, and I'm going to use, first of all, my lightest pink, or excuse me, my lightest purple, and I'm going to sew it together on the diagonal. Once I have that sewn together, I'm going to square it up and make sure that it's 2.5" square. And how I do that is I take my diagonal line along my ruler here, and I am using the Fit to Be quarter 6.5. And the reason I like this ruler so much is it does go right along that diagonal there, or if I trim it this way, I also have a diagonal this way, so I can do either way. So I'm going to line up the diagonal line, trim off that little bit of excess, and then line it up on the 2.5 and trim. So for that, you need to, and the instructions tell you, you need to make 2 of the light purple, 2 of the light green, 1 each of the medium purple, medium green, dark purple, dark green. Why do I need those? Let me show you. I am going to make these pieces. With these pieces, what you have is, I'm going to grab my 2 little guys here that I have, and I'm going to line that up here, and then I'm going to use 2.5" squares, sew it, and then sew it along. So I'm going to need 1 that has the 2 lightest purples, 1 that has the 2 light green, and then 1 that has dark green and medium green, 1 that has the dark purple and medium purple. So those are done, and then I will be on to the next step. Just keep it going. So now that I have all these squares done, the next step is I'm going to do some flying geese. I'm just going to put these up here, and I'm going to grab my flying geese pieces. What I'm going to start with is a rectangle, 2.5 by 4.5 of my background, a square of my light purple, the 2.5" square. I'm going to line this up, draw my diagonal line, sew on the line, and press it out. You want to trim the bottom 2 layers to 1/4 inch. So let me do that. And you can discard those extra pieces here. And then once I have that, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take another 2.5" square of my lightest purple, draw my diagonal line, press it out, and this is what I get. I'm going to get, let me grab all of them, I'm going to do a light purple, a light green, a dark purple, and a dark green. So once I have these done, I'm going to take the pieces I made previously and put them together. So this is the important thing too with this. You want to make sure that this is orientated correctly. You want the pink, or excuse me, I keep calling it pink, it's actually light purple. You want that so this diagonal line goes like this, and then you're going to put your flying geese on top of it like this. They're all made the same way, as in these are going this way as opposed to this way. So it's really important that you keep that in mind. Follow the instructions. It tells you exactly how to put them together, and they're all in color, so it makes it easier. So I'm going to do that one. I'm going to do the light green, same way. Sew it together like that. And then for the purple, the thing to remember for the purple is there's two different purples. There's a medium and a dark. The dark needs to be facing up with this dark. So it's easy to flip it around. You want to make sure you have it just like that. Again, making sure this is orientated correctly. Sew it together, and then the same with the greens. It's going to be the same way. You want to make sure that the dark greens are together. And that is my next step. And then the last step to put our block together is I'm going to do flip corners on a 4.5-inch square of light. So just like we've been doing, you're going to draw a diagonal line on the back of your 2.5-inch squares of your medium purple and your medium green. Lay it on, sew it, press it out, sew it, press it out. Then you're also going to cut this down to 1/4 inch so you have less bulk. Okay. So once I have all those pieces together, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our block together. Now that you have all your units together, what you'll do is you'll sew them in rows. So you're going to sew these together, and these together. You're going to press out, in, out, sew your rows together, and then you'll get your block, and it's 16.5-inch square. After you get your first block done, you need to make 7 of the A blocks. The B blocks have the green and the blue, and then the C blocks have the purple and the blue, and you'll just construct them exactly the same way. Get those done, and then we'll be ready for our next step. So now that we have these all put together, the next step is to actually put the quilt together. So I will be doing that next week, and enjoy and have fun. Bye.